Okay, at this time, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Mr. DeJarvis Leonard. Mr. Leonard.
Good morning. Thank you, Callie. And thank you for joining us on our December media briefing for the CBD, Central Business District, Bridges, the 5920 section through the heart of Birmingham. What we're going to do today is similar to what we did last month, to share an overall view of the project, give some updates on Phase 3, and we'll talk about in detail the closure, the detours in particular, and then we'll follow up with an announcement about when the actual closure date will be. We'll get started as we go through the presentation. As usual, I'll run through the phases. The project is broken down into 4 phases. Phase A, as we know, was the lengthening of the bridges at 12th Avenue and at 31st Street. This is a view of those bridges when they were complete. Phase 1 was the widening of bridges on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Avenue on I-65. The ones that are in red, that was done and completed earlier, a few years ago. This is a view of those bridges as they were when they were completed. Phase 2 is the section that we opened back in late August, early September. It was the reconstruction and the modification of ramps of the interchange at I-65 and I-5920. We had over 21 bridges that we had to either rebuild or widen or make modifications to. This is a rendering of what we had put together prior to the actual construction beginning. And if you look at the actual picture or area of the completed work, it's very similar to the rendering. The rendering was very helpful in our construction activity. This is another view of the renderings looking south on I-65 toward Montgomery. And this is an actual view also of that same site. Phase 3 is where all this construction is currently ongoing. Phase 3 consists of the actual demolition and the reconstruction of the I-59 bridges, the elevated section through downtown Birmingham. And it includes the modification of the ramps and the interchange at Red Mountain Expressway and 31st Street. This is a rendering showing what the new road will look like once we complete the construction. These are the new ramps that will come into the city from 5920. If you're traveling westbound, you get on a bridge and come down to 25th Street. If you're exiting the city, you will exit at 25th Street and go around and over the interstate and parallel and back out toward the airport. This is a new ramp that will be constructed for Red Mountain Expressway North to I-59 South. This is a new ramp, which is the tallest ramp that you see. It's coming from 31st Street and ties into the main line of 5920. There's a new exit ramp to 31st Street, which will exit from 5920 and land at 31st Street. But it also allows the ramp from Red Mountain Expressway North to go under it so that we get rid of the conflict that occurs at that location. The ramps to Red Mountain Expressways will still be in operations once we complete this section. This is a view of some of the construction that's ongoing at this time, looking north on 59 or east toward Atlanta. You can see the new bridges for the ramps are being constructed at this time. This is a view looking west. You can see those same bridges for the new ramps. This is the on-ramp, and this is the off-ramp for the new access into the city at 25th Street. This is a time-lapse video of all the construction that has taken place on Phase 3 at this time. You can see the demolition of the ramp that was currently there for 11th Avenue and the construction of the new ramps to 25th Street that are taking place. This is all taking place over the last year and a half. You can also see the ramp from 31st Street is starting to take shape. This is the column for that. You can see the other columns that are taking shape that are being constructed for. Some of this is for the 31st Street, and you'll see some columns are being constructed for the new Red Mountain Expressway ramp. What is our timeline? Our timeline has not changed for the completion of Phase 3. All the other phases are complete. Phase 3 is scheduled to be finished by November 2020. However, as you know, the contractor has a 14-month window to actually start the demo of the bridges and have it back in operation within that 14 months. And within those 14 months, he has a disincentive of $250,000 a day to either meet every day he beats that 14 months. He gets $250,000 a day. For every day over 14 months, he will have to pay ALDOT $250,000. Let's talk something about the closure. The actual detours that we talked about last month are similar. We made some minor changes that I will note when we go through this. This is the area that we're concerned about, the actual segmental zone. And there will be temporary street closures during this period of time, but the contractor has a responsibility contractually to maintain a north and a south route in these blocks that I'm showing for the first two blocks, 15th to 18th, and from 19th to 23rd. And also at Carraway to stay open at all times. There may be some periods of time where Carraway has to be closed temporarily, but it is to stay operational pretty much the full period of time when the bridges are down. So what are our detours? The detours are scheduled to use 459. If you're traveling westbound, as we talked about last month, we encourage motorists, if they're coming through the city, not to go through downtown, but to take 459 around to 65 or to 59. This is our local detour that we will sign. The signed detour primarily will be utilizing Carraway. And so you'll exit the ramp that I showed you earlier, and you will make a right at Richard Arrington, and a right on 24th, and a right on 11th, and a left on Carraway. Those rights will be free flowing. Carraway at 11th, we'll have dual left turns to get onto Carraway. And so you can utilize Carraway around Finley Boulevard, either to I-65 or all the way over to Arkadelphia. We would encourage motorists to primarily maybe to go all the way to Arkadelphia, because the left turn lane to get on 65 is short at that location. And if you're coming into the city from the west, you can exit off. This is the exit ramp that we were showing to get into the city and make those maneuvers that we talked about. And this is also the on-ramp that we talked about earlier, where you can get out of the city to go back northbound on 59 or east on 20. So here's the westbound routes if you're coming out of the city. You can still use 11th Avenue, the new ramps that we have constructed to go either northbound on 65, southbound on 65, or southbound on 59. You can exit out of 6th Avenue and go up to the Interchange and go to 59. Or you can take Carraway and go around at Finley. So those are options if you're in the downtown area and want to get out of the city and go westbound. Eastbound detours, similar to the westbound, we encourage motorists to use 459 as much as possible, but I think that's the best route if you're trying to get around the city at this time. Also, if you're looking at the eastbound routes for the local detours, it's similar to what we have for the westbound, utilizing Carraway and Finley. Finley and Carraway are utilizing 2059 to 65 to Carraway. Those will be available to be used, and we also show in 3rd Avenue as an option also. We will not sign 3rd Avenue because it's not our signed detour, but we will sign the other routes. Here's a view of your eastbound routes into CBD. You got the 17th Street exit, you got the 6th Avenue North exits, so you can get into the city to get into downtown if you're traveling from the east to get into downtown Birmingham. Or if you need to go to the to the east side, past the closure, you'll need to take Finley Boulevard to Carraway to enter the city. This is a view of the on-ramp out of 25th Street. So if you need to get out of the city you're on the east side, you can exit this ramp, enter this ramp to get out of the city. One of the changes that we've made during the last month, and I mentioned it on our last call, that we were going to install dual lefts at Carraway and Finley. If you're traveling northbound on Carraway and you want to turn left onto Finley, you have dual lefts now. So that is in operation. And also, if you're traveling eastbound on Finley and you want to turn southbound on Carraway, we'll have dual rights. You can make a right turn out of this lane, or you can take a right turn out of this lane. So you have two options to make that right turn. It's not showing up on this Google map, but it will have dual rights also. We encourage you to use our website, which is 5920bridge.com. The information that we're sharing will be there, and other information that will be available for you to be able to maneuver through and get information to understand where we are and give you updates on the project. Our website has changed, and we'll talk a little bit more about this before we complete the call. And it has been updated, and there are some new features that will allow you to maneuver between the existing and the proposed project on the renderings. And so that allow you to be able to see how the construction is going to be changing over the period of time, especially on the Red Mountain Expressway area. We encourage motorists to drive safely and be mindful of all the signs that are out there. You can follow us on also on social media, on Facebook or Twitter. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to call Ms. Crockett. Her information is at the bottom of the page. And before I go, I want to make a statement about the actual closure date. The tentative closure date for the existing CBD I-5920 bridge will be mid to late January 2019. A more specific date will be announced after the first of the year. There are many moving parts that must come together, which includes the effects of the weather, before an actual date can be announced. ALDOT will initiate an extensive public awareness campaign when the actual date is determined. Beginning December the 20th, 2019, ALDOT will start a public awareness campaign encouraging motorists to get prepared. The campaign will include both TV spots and radio announcements. So be looking for those as they start next week, and that will encourage motorists to actually just get involved and figure out where they are so they can know what they need to do when this actually takes place. We will have another news briefing or media briefing early in January to make more announcements about where we are at that time. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Again, as a reminder, if you all have any questions, please type the questions in the questions box on the lower right-hand side or click the icon to raise your hand next to your name, and we'll call on you accordingly. Okay, we have a question. Will the federal DOT be advised to communicate to state drivers and truckers, out-of-state drivers and truckers?
Yes, we will extend our media coverage outside the state. Our TMC, our Traffic Monitoring Center, works very closely with the neighboring states, and they have contacts, and we will utilize those contacts to help get the word out to those traffic monitoring centers in other states also.
Okay, next question. Will the new Red Mountain access to 5920 North be complete by the time the bridges in the CBD are removed?
When the closure goes into effect, you should have 2 lanes that you can utilize from Red Mountain Expressway north to 5920 north.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Okay, one more question. Will you still be able to travel from 5920 South to Red Mountain Expressway?
Yes, the ramp from 5920 southbound to Red Mountain Expressway South will still be functioning and in operation. We may have some minor closures, especially during our transition period from the existing bridges to the closure period, total closure, because we have to demo some things, some areas in that area that may cause us to have some closures temporarily. But during the overall long period time of the closure, that ramp will be functional.
Okay. Mercedes-Benz says, thanks, great job, ALDOT. Thank you. Okay, another question. Many of the travelers on 5920 are from out of state. What regional or national communications are you doing about this project?
As stated earlier, we will be working with our traffic monitoring system who has contacts in other states to help us get the word out to the other neighboring states. We will also use social media, and we will use an extensive media blitz even outside the state. We will utilize truck stops in other areas and get that information out so that when motorists come into the state, especially at our rest areas and welcome centers, they'll be notified of these closures.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else at this time, Mr. Leonard, is there anything else you want to add before we conclude the call?
I just want to thank everyone for attending. We thank everyone for partnering with us as we go through this transition to better the road systems, for the infrastructure in Birmingham. We encourage motorists to drive safely, be very attentive to your driving. We want you to go home safely. We want our workers to go home safely. And we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. As a reminder to everyone, we will post a recording of this presentation on the 5920 website at 5920bridge.com, which you'll notice, if you haven't already, the website has been updated with a new look. The website will contain all the most current information on the project, and we strongly encourage you to utilize the website as a primary resource for ongoing updates. If you have any questions following today's meeting, please contact Linda Crockett. And if there's nothing else at this time, this will conclude today's meeting. Thank you again to everyone for joining, and we hope you have a great day.